Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh, and welcome to Talking with Teachers. I'm your host, Dr. Abdullah bin Hamid Ali. Our guest today comes with many accolades. Dr. Haifaa Younis, she is one of the inspirational women of Iraq. She is a Hafiza of the Holy Qur'an. She is the founder of the Jannah Institute, where she focuses on the education of Muslim women. She is also a board-certified obstetrician and gynecologist. Please subscribe to our channel and enjoy the episode. We welcome Dr. Haifaa Younis. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. كيف حالكم شيخ عبد الله؟ إن شاء الله بخير.
بخير والhamdulillah wa shukrillah. Alhamdulillah, mashallah. This is really an honor and a pleasure to have the opportunity to speak to you today, Sheikha. Of course, naturally, I think you may remember we met at Zaytuna College. I think it was about a year ago or so.
Yes.
You visited, and so I happened to attend your talk, and mashallah, I was really impressed. And of course, after that, I've tried to follow some of your talks and your classes and things like that. So, mashallah, I really do appreciate the opportunity to have this conversation and really feel blessed that you accepted the invitation to be part of this particular project.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. All right, well, let's begin with who is Dr. Haifaa Younis.
This is what I always say. عبد من عباد الله.
Mashallah.
Yeah, the servant from among the other servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What do you want to know, ya Sheikh Abdullah?
Well, I mean, we've been following some of your public activity in terms of your lessons. What I'm asking is more so about, like, what is your journey? What was your journey, your family background? How did you come to where you are today? How did you become an obstetrician and a gynecologist? Things like that. I like to have my guests speak a bit about their, of course, what you feel comfortable sharing, but your sort of your background, your family background, things like that, because I do feel that the more that the public knows about the personality, right, that it actually helps to further appreciate the individual much more and understand even sometimes the context from which they're operating, because you never agree with everyone on everything, right? But I do think that actually does help people at least to gain some understanding about people's orientations and their fundamental sort of focus. Right?
So basically, walillah alhamd, Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. I actually was born in Iraq from parents both are in education and grew up in a home. I wouldn't say it's a religious priority home, but it is definitely education and morals. I give a class to the youth. We're talking about lying, and I looked at them and says, I never lied in my life. And they looked at me and was like, what? I said, not because when I was growing up, it was unaccepted. Morally, there was things morally is very important, especially if you are a woman or you're a man, there's even the things. So grew up with that family. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. The reason for the focus on the education, I loved reading when I was younger. I always wanted, I remember when I think I was maybe 12, 13, and there was a paper was requested from us in the school and says, write whatever you want to write. And I still remember it very well. And it was, how to become the ideal woman. Why? Actually, it was in a form of a question, if I remember well. Are you the ideal woman? I was like, I was 13. What made me write it? Don't ask me. And I don't remember what I wrote. And I don't know where is the paper. But the fact is, I remember that I be left from the word but I wanted to be different. I wanted to be different in a way. I don't know why is this. It's to do something different, subhanAllah. And the journey for the religion, actually, which is so interesting. That's why when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put in your life, I was actually in an American middle and a high school. So it was a private school. and the teacher of religion, which was very simple basics, is just one hour a week. It's not something that you focus on. And she was a woman who I wouldn't say will impress me if I see her outside, meaning not amazing beauty or, that what young girls get attracted. SubhanAllah, she shared the hadith with us. And I will always say this up till now is what comes from the heart, get to the heart.
That's right. That's right.
And she taught us, and I still remember it. I hear it. The hadith of سَبْعَةٌ يُظِلُّهُمُ اللَّهُ فِي ظِلِّهِ يَوْمَ لَا ظِلَّ إِلَّا ظِلُّهُ. The seven, Allah will shade them under His shade the day there is no shade. And she kept focusing on وَشَابٌ نَشَأَ فِي طَاعَةِ اللَّهِ. And a young man grew up under main focus is the obedience of Allah. I don't know why this hit home. Started praying.
SubhanAllah.
Yes, SubhanAllah, 13 years of age. Started praying. And SubhanAllah, I start wanting to know more. The reason I become an OBGYN, I'm very happy and grateful, but I'm going to be very honest. I didn't know at that point that was fardu kifaya, that it is a collective duty. I had no idea. I didn't even know what's a collective duty at that. But as simple as this is what I say, the youth. My mom wanted me to be an OBGYN.
Okay.
Yeah, she wanted me to be first as a physician. She said, I want to have one of my daughters, because we were 4 and I was the youngest. So one chose the medical field, but not a physician, the other one dentist, and the other one is an engineer. She said, I would love to have one of my daughters as a physician. Alhamdulillah, at that time, I applied and I got accepted. Walillah alhamd. Another secret, I didn't like it. In the first didn't, because they teach you all the basics, not the real medicine.
Right.
And I just continued, subhanAllah. And then Allah opened up when we start seeing the practical medicine. I loved it. She wanted me to be, our next door neighbor was one of the most famous OBGYN in the country, in Baghdad. I grew up in Baghdad. And she loved, they had a very special relationship. She trusted her and she trusted her. And she said, I want you always to be like her. And she used to call her name. SubhanAllah. And Allah made it happen. But always, SubhanAllah, I felt there was something else is missing.
SubhanAllah.
Yeah. Always.
Yeah, pretty amazing. I'm thinking about, like you said, all of your sisters are some type of professional. We would classify them as that today, right? And I heard it stated before that prior to the invasion and the overthrow in Iraq, that the Iraq was perhaps one of the most educated countries in the perhaps in the world, even if you think about it, to be totally honest, right? But usually we say in the Middle East, one of the most educated countries in the Middle East.
Most educated. Grew up in a family. We are 6 actually. My brother is a physician and my other brother is an architect. I remember my parents used to have this. She looked at us as girls and says, I don't have any girl live in this house without finishing her education. And what do you do with it afterward? It's your choice.
Right, subhanAllah. And we know Iraq's is monumental history, and Beit al-Hikmah, and even prior to Islam, it's such a historic Baghdad, especially,
and in Islam.
And in Islam. So prior and after Islam, so it's mashallah, it's really, of course, it's such a travesty what happened, but not to sort of take things in a negative sort of direction, but so you say that, okay, you didn't grow up in a religious family. It sounds like that means to you that religious means to you praying, right? That it sounds like that it wasn't a whole lot of praying or fasting and things like that.
No, I'll tell you what, we were very conservative.
Yeah. Okay.
Moral family. Right? But the focus was not number one religion.
Okay.
Right? But absolutely fasting. My parents went to Hajj. The basics we have, but again, conservative and moral and manners. So you carry yourself the way that you. I remember when we were growing up, it wasn't like it's haram. It doesn't befit you.
Okay.
This is not how it should be. So you grew up with this. So when deen entered my life, it just beautified it. The basics was there. Our deen is all about morals. Our deen is all about how you carry yourself. The only difference is the intention.
Right. Oh, okay.
Right? Yes, you do it for the sake of Allah, and that's what Allah wanted you, versus that's what my mom or dad told me.
Okay.
So,
Right.
subhanAllah, and then I loved reading. And then we went through two things in life which changed the focus in me. Is my mom, as a younger age, had breast cancer, and then she passed away. And then we went through the war.
Yeah.
And then that shook you up, or shook me up, and also woke me up that you turn to Allah only when you need Him. And I kept remembering something in me comes saying, if this was your friend and they only call you when they need you, how you will feel. And I felt ashamed.
SubhanAllah, yeah.
Yeah, I felt ashamed. I was like, I can't do that. I need to know Him. And then I learned the hadith, تعرف إلى الله في الرخاء يعرفك في الشدة. Learn Allah at the time of prosperity. He knows you at the time of the need. So I start reading, and again, amazingly, the first book that was gifted to me. Imagine what was the book? The Shaykh Abdullah. الروح لابن القيم.
Inshallah.
I can't tell you what happened to me after I read that book. It's changed me.
Yeah, it's fun.
Amazing book. Amazing book. It's scary, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm just giving a heads up for those of us. And it's translated, by the way. But it changes your perspective. It teaches you, and this is actually what it taught me. There is way more than just this life. When you grow up and you're studying and focus on career, there's way more. And then I start reading Islamic books, and I start reading Quran. I start reading Quran regularly. And every month I finish the Quran. Right? SubhanAllah. And I start fasting extras, Monday, Thursdays. And I start feeling differently. SubhanAllah. Yani, wallahi, when we read, أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ, verily by the remembrance of Allah, hearts reach serenity. I am one of those. I witness on this. SubhanAllah. Then, of course, we had, because of the war, we had to leave the country. So I moved actually to England, where here I was able to be, I think when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now puts you, it's the first time I'm in a foreign country living. We used to travel for vacations, but not living, working, studying in a different country. And I start feeling the only thing that's going to keep me going is reading my Quran, going for Jumu'ah every week. And I was the only woman wear hijab in the whole hospital. So now you have to even more. And I started reading more. And came to the States. And then again, you focus on your career, but always in me, I wanted to study. Then I start listening at that time. It was a beautiful series by Sheikh Omar Abdul Kafi. It's called The Dar Al-Akhirah. I'm sure you have read about it. Amazing. It's in Arabic, of course. It's a 33 at that time tapes. Again, what I'm trying to share with everyone, when you focus on the akhirah without forgetting your dunya, the way you live your dunya will be different.
Yes, right.
Because you have another level that you are also focusing on. It's not only on here. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts guiding me. I say, وَكَانَ فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكَ عَظِيمًا. The grace of Allah upon you. So the friends, I used to go to the masjid, even when I was in residency, I used to go for Jumu'ah. And then Allah introduced me to all these amazing women around me, not by choice, just they come, I feel comfortable. One of them was one of my friends. And I spend most of my time in St. Louis, Missouri, just recently moved to California. And she was a Hafidah of the Quran, also a physician and mother of 4. And I said, how come she's a Hafidah? I am not. Don't ask me why. I think it's the competitor nature in me. Alhamdulillah, it's a good Quran.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Start memorizing the Quran. And then finish my residency. And the last year I said, now it's time I want to study Islamic study properly.
Inshallah. So how old were you at this time when you finished the Quran and then you started to
in my 30s.
MashaAllah.
Yeah, so it's not very young. I always tell people I was like not 15 or 16. I finished my residency.
Yeah. Well, it teaches people, it teaches all of us, that age doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I always tell people, who cares? Right? As long as you have your brain, alhamdulillah, you have the energy. If I finished it, I kept saying this to myself. If I finished it, alhamdulillah. If I didn't finish it, Allah decided I am going to go back to Him. He'll take me as a hafidah because I started the journey. So alhamdulillah, after I finished my residency, OBGYN is extremely demanding in residency. Yani alhamdulillah, I kept holding to the requirements and the memorization of the Quran, but much slower. I decided I want to study. And you don't remember this, Sheikh Abdullah, of course, because I didn't meet you at that time. I decided, let's see if I'm going to study locally in the States before I move overseas. So I came to Zaytuna Institute.
Oh, really? Okay. I didn't know that.
Exactly, because I didn't meet you. You were teaching, actually. It was, remember, in the small apartment?
Yeah, this was, you're talking about perhaps around 2007, 2008. And that,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Yes, it was 2008 is when I moved to Saudi.
Okay.
And there was only Zaytuna at that point, right? And then no internet or no online, none of that. So I was actually was introduced to Sheikh Mukhtar Maghrawi, which I'm sure you know.
Yes, right.
I started attending his retreats, and I started studying with him. He gave me curriculum, one-to-one, but on the phone.
Okay.
Or if he is going somewhere and I could be there, so we studied. And then I said, no, I need to study seriously. Just like I studied medicine. I kept saying this to myself. You studied medicine, you went to medical school, you studied books, exam, all this. So I came to Zaytuna, and you put the woman behind the screen at that point.
I did.
Oh, that's you. It was
I was the visitor, so I just happened to be.
Exactly. You were teaching Arabic, Sheikh Abdullah. I remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I loved it, but I said, yeah, I want more interactive. So I started looking overseas.
Okay.
I love Mecca. You tell me you go to Mecca, I'm just going to tell me when. There's no yes or no. Just tell me when. So subhanAllah, Allah opened it, and I got a job offer in Jeddah.
MashaAllah.
And I said, that's it. Allah will open it. I did not go to study. I wanted to study, moved to study, but I didn't have anything set. And subhanAllah, how Allah opened it there.
MashaAllah. Tabarakallah. Tabarakallah, mashallah. That's a beautiful, beautiful story. I mean, but it's really amazing that, I mean, when we people cross paths with one another, then of course certain people don't recall, right? That's happening, so I apologize. I hope I wasn't offensive around that time.
No, we didn't meet, Sheikh Abdullah. We didn't meet.
We didn't meet. Okay, great. Okay, alhamdulillah. I thought you said I did something. Okay.
No, my Lord, you were teaching your Arabic class. I don't know. I don't recall.
Yeah.
It's the reason they put me behind the screen because I was a visitor. I don't recall. But I sat. I loved the class.
Okay.
I really loved it. I was like, see, he teaches from the book, the traditional way. Alhamdulillah. Yeah. But I wanted, again, my competitive nature. I wanted more. I wanted really more.
Right.
So Allah opened it when I went there.
Okay, so what it was that I think it's around that time the sisters who were studying with us, they were a bit more conservative. They actually preferred to have the screen. So if you recall, they actually wore the niqab as well.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So that's really what that was all about. So it's just mashallah. Yeah. So we just
alhamdulillah. And then, subhanallah, I went there. Moved, start working. I had to work because I couldn't get a student visa. And the power of dua. This is how I say it. Wallahi, I will tell people, I'll tell all the students, you want something, be sincere, ask from Allah. Don't doubt how it's going to happen. How is not my ability. How is his ability? Ala kulli shay'in qadir. Less than 6 months. Yeah, less than 6 months. I went for Hajj actually at that time. 2008, and I said, Ya Allah, I left everything, I left my work, I left my office, I left everything, and I really want to study, and there was nothing yet happening. And I was like, I don't want to feel guilty. I left my patients and everything. I was teaching in the masjid at that time, and I came for something because I love Mecca, and I'm not going to do something. And I said, Ya Allah, if this is not going to happen, put me back. SubhanAllah, I come back. Less than a week, a friend called me and says, there was a very famous da'iyah. She passed me. Allah give her Jannah Institute. Her name is Fatima Nasif. She just passed less than a year ago. Talk to her. She will help you. I go to her and she says, Doctora, subhanallah. Subhanallah. The Al-Qura University had a satellite campus in Jeddah. It was always for men. This is the first year for women. For women and taught by women. And what you came a little bit late. The only thing I can offer you as a listener, will you take it? I said, I'll take it. I'll
Right.
beautiful. You know how it is. You studied. You know how it is.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. There's a lot of benefit that even as an auditor, right? Mustami', you've been quite a bit. You have the book, you can follow along, and you're not an official student, but still you are, because al-ilm min Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but mashallah, I really do appreciate the details. I wanted to go back to one more thing before I change subjects. You mentioned when you were younger that you were asked to write something about, what is an ideal woman, right? And you said you don't recall exactly what you said, but do you recall a shift in your mindset at a certain stage in your life later on, right? About a time when you actually had this encounter with this particular, I think you said there was a female teacher who had mentioned the hadith of, the seven who have been given shade, right? Do you feel like you had a shift in your understanding? Do you feel that maybe one time you really weren't that interested in education, and then so you had a different idea of what an ideal woman would be, and then later on, once you became a bit more passionate about learning more,
if I recall, again, this is years ago, that the ideal woman should be an educated woman, should be different than from other people, from other women. The kind of education, I don't recall which one I focused, but I know after I read the book Ruh, was the shift. At the same time, my mom was sick and getting very sick. She actually died in my hand. So this was really moving. And at the same time, very close, this is all very close timing, is when we went through the war, and everything in your life changed in war. Everything changes. So all this made me absolutely more focused on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I remember two people in the funeral of my mom, and we actually washed her body. You know how somebody looked at me and says, "You are very strong and you are very religious." And I was like, "This is me." At this point, I wasn't even wearing my hijab because it's not accepted culturally. Subhanallah. And as if they ignited things in me. They saw something I'm not seeing, but people saw this. And then
words are powerful. When people say things about you, the words themselves, it makes you want to now become what they think you are or perceive you as being, right? So now
something they're seeing I'm not seeing. And I was like, really? They said, oh yeah, okay. So it's stays with you, and then Allah brings things. Now you connect 1 + 1 equal to, and alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. I always say to Allah, my always dua, Allahumma ja'alni min ash-shakirin. Make me.
Ameen. Right. So why don't you speak a little bit about like the Jannah Institute?
Another unplanned.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because I remember one of the things I learned from Sheikh Mukhtar, may Allah give him Jannah al-Firdaus, he always used to teach us all, don't study to teach. That's not for Allah. And I took it with clearly. And when I went to study, I didn't want to teach at all. And I was in South Africa. I have very good friends, family friends. So I used to go every year and do retreats for them, tazkiyah retreats. And they took my opinion and says, you know what, we want to do an institute here. What do you think? So, okay, I shared with them what we have in the United States. Came back with a couple of my friends, women. And I said, they all know them. And I said, oh, this is what they told me. And then one of them said, why don't we do something in here? I was still studying in Saudi. And I said, do what? She said, let's do a women institute. I said, and who's going to teach? I'm still in Saudi. He said, let's start to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open it. 2011, subhanallah, 7 of us women, all educated, all professional, all wanted. They felt the beauty of learning about Islam and what does it do to their life practically. I said, if you want to do it, okay, fine, you get my approval, but I have nothing to do with it. I don't know how to do these things, technically. And subhanallah, they did. By 2013, we got the approval. At this point, I'm still in Saudi. I'm still studying. I'm still in my Quran memorization, and I'm still doing Islamic studies. So we started very small, Arabic classes and Tajweed class. At this point, my Quran teacher, one of my Quran teachers, who's actually American, she used to come back and forth, and she helped us in establishing this. 2017, I returned back.
Mhm.
And one of the things which I really have to share with you and share with all is what I studied was all women teachers. There
Mm.
were two male teachers, but the male teachers were through the screen. But all the and the women teachers, Sheikh Abdullah, they are qualified. Like
Yeah.
I've seen in medicine at that point, I haven't seen women
Mhm.
that much knowledge of Islamic studies. I mean, they know. They quote the ayah, they quote the hadith, they
Mhm.
analyze, and I am like that, you know.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
remember I did a dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was in my Aqidah class. And we were 25, different background, different ages. And I said, Ya Allah, give me something like that in the States. How many people can do what I did for the
Mhm.
woman? And
Right.
learning, and again, all my original teachers are men. But when you learn from a woman as a woman, and the
Yeah.
woman is qualified, there's
Mhm.
something different about it.
Yeah,
And
different impact. Yeah, that was totally
the
out of Mhm.
the suhbah, you know, I mean, the male students have not only but the male suhbah with the teacher. So I came back 2017, started doing small courses, 6 weeks.
Mhm.
Started with, you know, the hadiths about moral. And I was like, let's see what the woman, and believe it or not, we started online on site and we had Zoom classes
Mhm.
before COVID because I said, how many women really can come to the masjid on regular basis?
Right. Mhm. Mhm.
Woman has more things, more, let's say, obstacles, if I want to use the
Yeah.
word.
Right.
So we
Mhm.
started that. Alhamdulillah, we had a good response.
Mhm.
And at this point, also, I started being invited here and there to give lectures or do program. When the COVID hit,
Mhm. Right.
it's when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put the barakah.
Right.
Real barakah, everything doubled, we tripled.
Mhm.
We had 50 students, became 400. Now, of course, alhamdulillah, more than 1,000. But
Wow.
things
Wow. Mhm.
changed with the COVID, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And then 2021,
Mhm.
I'm still in my private practice, full-time OBGYN, and I
Mhm.
teach on the sides all this.
Okay.
And I always had, remember the dream, I wanted to do that institute, physical, the one I studied within Jeddah. And
Mm.
I remember very well, one day I was in the office and I said, it's the time. By istikhara, I said, it's the time.
Mhm.
I mean, I have to stop my private practice because you can do full-time OB/GYN and
Yeah.
full-time. You can. And I said, that's it. I'm going to do it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take care of me.
Yeah.
So I did not renew my contract. And I said, I'm going to be full-time teaching what I studied. And I will do in the rest of my time, work as an OB/GYN. Exactly the opposite.
MashaAllah, يحييك. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. That's amazing, right? It's
And
sacrifice. Mhm.
I can't tell you
Mhm.
how Allah subhanahu wa wallahi, one day I have to write a book about that, how
Mhm.
Allah operates. Because when I said it, I met with a team in Jannah Institute. At that time, we were 5 only. Now we are more than 30 in the team.
Mhm.
And I said, they all knew my dream.
Mhm.
And I said, I'm going to do my dream.
Mhm.
And they said, and I said, inshallah, we'll start in September. It's 2021. They said September 2022. I said, no, September 2021.
Mhm.
And they said, and who's going to teach? I said, me. And they said, what are you going to do with your work? I said, Allah will take care of me. I didn't tell them I'm quitting because I don't want to hear, you
Yeah.
know, you always have this inside you. You have also the doubts. I mean, we're not angels.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear anything that will make me more doubtful. I want, let me just follow.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then they said, what are you going to teach? Who's going to take care? Yeah, nothing. By March, by Ramadan, 2 months later, how Allah operated. Somebody asked me a question, ended up Zaytuna college graduate, become one of our main TAs, because I told them the motto of Jannah Institute
Mhm.
is internal motto between us, لن يضيعنا الله. Allah will never let us down.
Mhm.
External motto is
Mhm.
الإحسان في كل شيء. إن الله كتب الإحسان على كل شيء.
Okay. Mhm.
We need to do the best that we can, but we were not going to accept just because
Mhm. Mediocrity. Mhm.
whatever is available, khalas, alhamdulillah. No. We need to aim for the best.
Yeah.
Allah sent us, subhanallah, coordinator for the program. Allah sent us a graduate from Zaytuna to be with me as a TA. I was the only teacher at that time. All the books I wanted to teach, which is the traditional books, like a Suyuti Ulum al-Quran, for example. But I did not require Arabic because the goal is not to graduate scholars. The goal is to graduate mothers, women knows their furud al-ain, what every year of knowledge, what every Muslim woman should learn.
Alhamdulillah.
5 topics: Quran, Hadith, Aqidah, Tazkiyah, and Fiqh. All the books I really wanted to teach, subhanallah, they were translated.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. MashaAllah.
And then how many students they told me? I said, I don't know. I have no idea. لن يهدي الله بك رجلا واحدا. If I get one student, I'm teaching.
Yeah. Humility. تواضع. من تواضع لله رفعه الله.
رفعه الله. Subhanallah. We opened, by 2 weeks, we had 50 students. And I said, close. We cannot be too big in the beginning. And Allah opened it. La ilaha illahu. I learned more than I think all the students. I got all my books that I studied. You know, it's lovely when you take back your books and you see your notes, 2009, and I'm writing. Alhamdulillah, we finished the first year. Original was only 1 year. Then the students wanted the second year. I said, fine, I'm going to take you to the next. So now we did tafsir. We saw usul al-fiqh. We did tazkiyah again. We did shama'il. And we did Asma'illah al-Husna in the second year.
MashaAllah.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Currently in the first year, and we closed it. Yesterday, I had someone also in an interview says, why you always say it's full? I said, because it's full. What can I do? We start 25, 50. This year, I said 100. Let's not take more than 100. Because if the class becomes so big, you lose the personal touch.
That's right. Yeah.
And our class...
It's a good problem, you know. It's a good problem. Having a waiting list is a good problem.
It's a very good problem. Not having enough space is a very good problem.
Yes.
So I said, because we do interactive. Like we do the traditional way, we put the book, and we put the book in English. I read it in Arabic, Hadith, Quran in Arabic, and the students read, and I comment. And I keep asking them. So if you want to do it interactive, you can't have too big.
Right, exactly.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. This is our third year. And also from the fadl of Allah, someone come up with the idea. They said, you know what, not every woman can do 11 hours. And we are, I will say the word strict. We allow, the camera has to be on, not in the classroom setting, sitting on a desk. You cannot be in your pajama on a bed. No, because I keep telling them that's what I was taught. Whatever you give the knowledge will give you back. You are serious, you will get more. You are taking it loosely, you're not going to learn. So they said this is 11 hours and we have the homework and we have exams. And so somebody came in last year and says, why don't we do parallel to it, year of knowledge, self-paced. Let the woman do it according to their pace. So alhamdulillah, we had a team of editors and we edited and we started it in August. Walillah alhamd, we have more than 200 students now in the self-paced.
Alhamdulillah.
Allah, وَكَانَ فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكَ عَظِيمًا. I live by this verse. Alhamdulillah.
So you said one of the graduates from Zaytuna was helping out at the beginning. I imagine perhaps she's still helping out.
Actually, this is what happens again with women. Life changes. You know how. Right. So she actually was amazing. May Allah reward her. And she was actually had a master's in fiqh. She had to move to take care of her mother. So moved from California, went back to her state, and she said, I cannot commit to that many hours. Now we have a TA is also graduate from Zaytuna, but now she's doing her master's in England, but she do TA like few hours. Again, this is when you have all women, you have to be very flexible, Sheikh Abdullah. Because there is things happens, they get married, get pregnant, deliver, travel, take care of parents. And unless we are flexible, it's hard to...
Yes, exactly. MashaAllah. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, may Allah continue to give you tawfiq and taysir and all that. I wanted to come back to one more thing. I was reflecting upon the advice that Sheikh Muqsam Makrabi had given to you about not studying to teach. That really resonates with me because I've noticed over the years too how more and more students I've come in contact with who, when you ask them, okay, why do you want to come study? And it's not most of them, but there are a lot of students who actually will say, I want to contribute to the community. I want to go back to my community and teach. I want to become a scholar, things like that. And for me, that was like when I started studying, similar to yourself, it had far less to do with the idea of becoming a scholar or to teach anyone. It was all about me. I mean, I was confused about some things, and I got tired of people telling me different answers, give me different answers about the same thing, right? And I said, well, this person said this and the other person said something else. I said, I'm going to go study on my own, so it was really about me increasing my own understanding. And then another problem I found with a lot of young contemporary students of knowledge is that, and then we're all students of knowledge, right? But the younger students of knowledge is that many of them have somewhat of an attitude or a sense of entitlement, right? About, okay, I'm going to go study until the community has to employ me, right? Someone go overseas and they, okay, well, yeah, the community has to be ready for me to come back and they have to create a job for me. And I never myself, and again, I'm not trying to make myself look like anyone's ideal, but I'm just reflecting upon my own sort of my own journey, is that my attitude was always that, listen, I'll go back to do whatever I was doing before any of this, right? Because I was a security guard at one time. I was a barber. I used to paint. I've done multiple types of jobs, right? And so like, if I were to stop teaching at Zaytun or anyone else, or lose the ability to be able to teach anywhere, I'm going to have to provide for my family however I can, right? So I do think it's important to, especially for young men, to sort of to encourage them a bit more and say, listen, you may not be able to do, everything that you want to do with what you went to school for, and so you have to, like you were talking about, of course, sisters have to have options. We have to be flexible with sisters. I do think as well that, except in a different way, like for the young men, that they themselves have to at least entertain the possibility that they may not actually be as successful as they imagined they would be, taking this particular path, right? You may not get invited to the big conference. I know for some people that, they might not speak about it, but it's like, I'm become popular. I'm going to develop a fan base on social media, things like that. That's not for the vast majority of people. Some people, it just happens organically for them. Like yourself, I kind of feel like for me, it was a bit more organic as well. Even my PhD and my MA, it was all organic. I never had the plan. I'm like, today, I think people call me professor. I'm doctor, right? So I'm just like, well, Dr. Abdullah. I was like, I didn't plan this. It just happened, right, by itself. I had a break in my schedule, and I said, okay, well, I got to do something, right? Okay, well, I'm already here. Okay, I might as well go back to school, right? And it just organically happened. So when I came to Zaytun, I was resident scholar. That was my title. That was it, right? But I went on and I finished my MA and my PhD as well. So I just figured that that would perhaps be just some important things to reflect upon for.
If I want to, follow up on what you said, and I will say this for everyone. Of course, for the men, it's a little bit different. And we also, again, we have to be realistic. I mean, the man has to come back and he has a job. And you know what I'm saying? If he didn't get another degree, like I was very fortunate, alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, I was a physician. I am a physician. So I didn't do it. But I mean, yeah, the man had to come back and have a job and he has to take care of his family.
Right.
Having said that, I always say this to all the students in Jannah and everybody who is going to ask me. Have this firm belief inside you, and this needs to be written inside your heart, like you know your name. Inna Allah huwa al-Razzaq dhul quwwati al-mateen. Allah is the one, al-Razzaq, the sustainer, dhul quwwati al-mateen, that He is the strong, owns the strength, gives strength, and that it's very strong.
Right.
And He is the one who's going to decide where you want to go. Are you going to be popular in the social media? Or maybe no, because it's not the best for you. Do it and do it for Allah and only.
That's right.
Only. And you say, Ya Rabbi, I'm doing it خالص لوجهك الكريم, only for you. And I want to see my reward in Akhirah. That's yes. I want to get my reward in Akhirah. يرفع الله الذين آمنوا منكم وأوتوا العلم درجات. Enough. dunya. And you know, this many ahadith is, you know, man kanat dunya hammahu. The dunya is the worry. What ja'ala Allah faqrahu bayna aynay. Allah put poverty between his eyes. The real tawakkul, the real trust comes here. When I go to study, because I want to know you, Ya Allah. I want to get close to you, Ya Allah. And if you think I am worthy of passing this knowledge to the others, استعملني ولا تستبدلني. This is the dua I do it day and night for myself. And all the students in Jannah Institute have memorized it. Ya Allah, use me and don't replace me. Meaning, maybe me being a physician and not teaching any of this in the sight of Allah at one point was way more beneficial and bring me closer to him than now. But then he, by his hikmah, decided, la, the time for changing had reached, and now I want you to do this. So leave it to Allah. Apply for a job, but don't come exactly, I'm entitled, or I'm graduate of this or that. Don't. Because there's a lot of people who did not take a degree.
That's right.
Studied the traditional way, and they are so close to Allah, more than a PhD. I am sure you know this is, if I'm correcting it right, I think it was Ahmad ibn Hanbal with Ma'ruf al-Karhi. And he used to say, I'll go and ask him. And they said, you ask him what knowledge he has. And he said, Kafa bi'amalihi ilma. Enough of his actions and conduct a reflection of his knowledge. So I tell to everyone, especially the younger people, be very careful before you seek the teaching and the fame. It can take me away from Allah. I did not want social media till 2021. I had no social media because you get worried, and I was pushed to it. And I even now, when I see, I was like, this is not me, because it's in here, yeah, Sheikh Abdullah. And we are human beings, make us more arrogant, make us, we did it out. Yeah. And so this is extremely important. Al-ilaqa ma'Allah, your relationship with Allah, the real tawheed, the real, you see only Allah in everything. He's operating everything, and you want to please him only. And just leave it there and see what he will give you. Wonder. إنك لن تترك شيئا لله إلا عوضك الله خيرا منه. You leave something for Allah, Allah will replace you better.
Allah Yazidik. Two more questions I have for you. So you had mentioned earlier that you wish you could write a book about things that happened in your life. Do you have any writings? Do you have any books?
Yes, alhamdulillah, Rabbi. Again, unplanned. Wallahi, my advice to everyone who will be listening, if you take one thing, leave the planning to Allah. And you ajmilu fi talab, make your dua, Ya Allah, use me, Ya Allah, make me pleasing you. Let him do it. I will not say I'm a writer. Maybe I'm a good speaker, but I will not say I'm a writer. SubhanAllah. We did a series during Ramadan, we did one during COVID. And that was about since. Do you hear something?
I'm sorry?
You hear me well?
Yeah, your voice is breaking up just a little.
Yes.
Continue. Okay. I can hear you. I think I can follow you.
Perfect. So we did a whole course, I think 8 weeks, about sin. And based on the book of Imam Ibn al-Qayyim, Jawab al-Kafi. But contemporary. Yeah, examples of real life. So we did it in that. Then when I became resident scholar here in Irvine, I loved doing series. So I said, let's do this for the women. It was very well received. Although it is not easy.
Yes.
SubhanAllah. Nothing about it. A young girl came to me in one of the classes at the end, and the topic was sin will weaken and may sever your relationship with Allah. She came to me. I thought she was not Muslim. Did not be Muslim. 14. And she said, I said, what is it? She said, why don't I have this relationship with Allah that makes me pray? And I said, SubhanAllah, that picture had that much impact. And And in me, something says, make it a book. Let people read it.
Mm-hmm.
Contacted someone I know. They published a book. I really liked it. Connect me with the publisher. And the publisher, I said, this is, and this is the manuscript. I have them. Less than 24 hours. He said, I'll publish it.
SubhanAllah.
November 2022. Ramadan, June 2023, the first book came out, Sins, The Poisons of the Heart.
The Poisons of the Heart, mashallah. Mm-hmm.
And it is a small, easy book, but it has, it's going to make you think, let's put it this way. And I dedicated to my parents, alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Before we even finished, I did a series about the builders of nation in Ramadan, about the women who have contributed to Islam.
Mm-hmm.
He reached out to me immediately and he said, I want to make it a book also. And he just received the author copies. It's in front of me.
MashaAllah. Yeah, subhanAllah. Beautiful title. Yeah, appropriate. Very appropriate. Builders of a Nation. Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Did I plan at one point in my life to be a writer or have a book? No. Have I worked for it, focused on it? No. The dua. Use me and don't replace me. So alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Yani, I have another one that should be coming, is about salah, not fiqh.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I need to pray?
Beautiful title. MashaAllah.
Why do I need? So
thematic.
And it's all Jannah Institute with the publisher and all the proceeds to Jannah Institutes, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make a sadaqah jariyah.
Ameen. Inshallah. So this was, I guess you would say, somewhat of a final question. You know, I won't promise this is a final question.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm enjoying it. Sheikh Abdullah.
Alhamdulillah. I'm glad you are. It's really an honor. It really is an honor. So I was wondering, like, if there's any particular person from either the past or the present who you feel that our community needs to know more about, someone who inspires you, and why, right? Would you say that this particular person, it could be more than one person as well, right? You know, but
exactly. The first, of course, if we take our history, Sayyidah Aisha. I would die to meet her.
Yes.
Of course, I'll die before that to meet Rasul. We all agree. But the reason is this, because I love the combination she has, which I think every woman should have. Meaning the strength, the education, the amazing wife, proper feelings, saying things in the right time, in the right way, and not shy to acknowledge her mistakes.
Yes.
لو استدبرت من أمري ما استقبلت ما خرجت. Power, strength when you say I'm wrong, I made a mistake, and how much she contributed to this deen, whether hadith itself or even incidents that happened in her life. For example, tayammum, for example, hadithatul if, yani, for some reason, every time I read, I can't tell you how many times I read Surah An-Nur or how many times I read the tafsir. Every time I read the hadith that she said it, I was like, Ya Allah, what a connection with Allah she has or had, that when the Quran was revealed, not even a Rasul alayhi salat, and she loved him, did not turn to him, turned to Allah first. So this is really all the time. I recently did also a podcast, and it's actually the Yaqeen with Sheikh Umar Sulaiman, and I said, you know what, I always ask, if she was here in Gaza, what she would have done. What she would have done. Subhanallah, yani you learn that one. The second one, which is, I have to say, it's my mother, actually. I liked the way she conducted herself. She is, people right and left used to come to, she was an educator, right and left came to her and take her opinion, and she was not shy to say what needs to be said in the nice way. Subhanallah. And I think she engraved this in us all the children, but definitely in us, the girls. Definitely one of the teachers, there's a couple of teachers who really have impacted me. Definitely Sheikh Mukhtar. I learned from him what
Yes.
does it mean to be connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and what is real tawheed is. Not, he
MashaAllah.
always used the word experiential. If you have, I'm sure you've heard it from him many times, which is true. What does it mean to experience Allah? And also, I learned from him, and many of my teachers in Jeddah walk that talk.
MashaAllah. It's a
Yeah,
blessed man, of course, a blessed man.
yeah, and from my female teachers in Jeddah, يعني, when she teaches you the seerah, you see it. You see it, and every opportunity comes in, and sometimes she absolutely applies it and not shy to say it. So يعني, I think I was blessed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surrounded me with people, teachers, and friends who I learned from them a lot. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. That's definitely for sure. There is the unknown soldiers who women, I don't even know their name. I met them in my travel, or I interacted with them. For example, this is something, you've been to Medina and you've been to Quba. When you leave Quba, always this woman of Medina who sit
Yes.
and sell. I'm sure you've seen. I can't tell you how much I learned from these women.
Right.
And the honesty, like you give her. I always tell the students, if she's telling you 3 riyals, give her 5, and she refused. She says, no, it's a 3 riyals. I said, I know, but just keep it. And 3 or 4 times, no. And these people need, they will not be selling outside. And then Haifaa.
Yes.
So there's a lot of, and this is something for everybody listening to us. You need to learn from everything around you. Not only التفكر في خلق الله, and by itself is a huge ibadah, but also from everyone around you. Everybody has something that I can learn from, even if they have something negative. Instead of putting them down, can look and say, Alhamdulillah, الذي عافاني مما ابتلى به غيري.
That's
And
right.
there is no reason I don't have it other than Allah on me. Nothing. Subhanallah. So we can learn from a lot from things around us, subhanAllah. But definitely I will say to everybody, make sure you have a role model, more than one, that they will bring you close to Allah. They walk the talk.
Right. MashaAllah. That's a beautiful way to sort of segue towards our conclusion. But I guess one thing I would add to that is, and I think it's sort of just building upon what you just said here, because based upon my observation of your own education, what it does is reinforce a belief that I have, which is that I don't think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted us to rely solely on books for our education. Right? If anything, it's the opposite, that he wanted most of our education to come from living, breathing people, right, in our midst. Of course, read about the people who were alive as well. Yeah, but I don't think there's a better teacher than a living teacher. And what's interesting is that Imam al-Shatibi, when he talks about Ibn Hazm al-Zahiri and how he was so abrasive towards the ulama, he actually goes on to say that the reason he was so abrasive was because he didn't spend enough time with the scholars, right? And so in other words, he would have learned adab, of ikhtilaf, and he would have learned a lot more bashasha, and sort of, just this very being courteous, among other things. And I do think that this is definitely a new crisis that social media has created with certain Muslims in the public sphere, So I definitely want people to know who are the people, or some of the people that they should be in contact with, like yourself, right? So they can learn the proper adab, learn who our real teachers are. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He bless you and continue to increase you and grant you success in your work. How can others follow is there anything other than your website, the Jannah Institute, that people can utilize to follow your work?
Yes, there is our YouTube channel. mine,
Okay.
under my name in Jannah Institute. So Dr. Haifaa Younis, Jannah Institute. Many of the clips, long lectures, series are all there. Of course, alhamdulillah, it's a free. Subscribe. We have our website. You will see not only mine, everything we do in Jannah Institute. Of course, social media, and everybody follows. And I do have TikTok, Sheikh Abdullah.
Okay. Yeah, I still
And
haven't done it. Not me yet. I haven't
I'll
done it
tell
yet.
you why, and you will be very surprised. That's what again Allah planned it. I'm going to be very honest. I was like, I can't see myself in TikTok. I mean, and do you know where the request came from? 16-year-old teenager boy. He sent me through his mother, and I said, "This is me, but this doesn't look the way we do it." They changed it for the TikTok, and he told his mother, I'm watching this. Tell her she needs to be on TikTok." So, subhanAllah. Alhamdulillah. So we are on all social media, and also newsletter. If you want to really see what is something coming up, right? Just subscribe to Jannah Institute newsletter, and then you will get an email every week. What is happening? It's something new, courses, things, and then you will be able to be informed. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Barakallah fiqh. Dr. Haifaa, mashallah, tabarakallah. Really do appreciate it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you. Thank you for giving you from your time, and looking forward to future conversations, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair.
Yes. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Hopefully you enjoyed that episode. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel here on YouTube and Spotify. Looking forward to seeing you in the next episode, God willing. Peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.